Hunter. This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy peeps and welcome back. It's Rebecca and Hunter here from Family Showdown. We are doing my top 100 games of all time, and today we are working on 80 through 71. So what has surprised you the most this time so far?
So far?
Mm-hmm.
Well, other than that you destroyed 2 of my top 10 already, no real surprises.
Really? Interesting. Alright, we'll go back into it then. My number 80 today is Pandemic: The Cure. This is kind of, almost, what would you say, Pandemic Light? It's a dice-based version of Pandemic, and much smaller space. You don't have the big giant map and everything, and it's all of the viruses and everything have to do with the dice rolls. So it's really interesting to have it changed up in that regard. It still feels like Pandemic, which is interesting because it seems to play completely differently. But it's still Pandemic, and it's a much quicker game. It lasts about 30 minutes, and I really enjoy the feel of this game.
Yeah, I prefer this, personally I prefer this over Pandemic itself. It's just because I like dice, and it's just quicker to organize, quicker to set up, quicker to play, and it's more, I think dice rolls just make it more exciting, whereas it's kind of, I mean, you have the big reveal with the card flips, but the dice is like, oh, you know, it's just really cool. Like I said, I prefer this version of Pandemic.
Yeah, it's really good. And to be completely honest, I'm going to go ahead and segue quickly into my 79 for that very reason, because my 79
Pandemic.
is Pandemic, which it was kind of a coin toss. I'm sure with different gameplays on a different day, these might switch. That's how close they are.
Yeah.
I prefer cards usually over dice. But what I think squeaked out the win over Pandemic: The Cure this time around is I really like the individuals' abilities and the traveling on the map and working together and all of the I don't know, just the maneuvering you have to make over that map. I really enjoy the geography and stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, there is maneuvering in Pandemic: The Cure, but it's kind of abstracted, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very much abstracted. And so I think it's really the only difference. I absolutely love both of them. And they're really fun. And you can mix it up by playing different characters and stuff like that.
Well, putting them back to back, I guess you really almost consider them the same game,
I do.
right?
Yeah, so. I do. They're pretty much the same game, which is really hard. I don't do that very often, put games like that back to back. But they are really that close.
You jump so quickly. Pandemic: The Cure is my 81, and Pandemic is not on my list.
Wow, really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting. So yeah, Pandemic and Pandemic: The Cure, depending on which kind of game you prefer. To me, they're basically the same thing. You obviously value.
I mean, they're very similar. Other than one has a map and one has just kind of an abstract ring, right? So. Yeah. But the dice just kind of. Is the randomization of the deck, right? So it's just
it's just which form of randomization do you prefer?
Right.
That's really what that boils down to.
Right.
And I prefer cards a little bit more.
Yeah.
So there is my 80 and 79. My 78 is going to make Hunter cry a little bit because I know it's way higher on his list.
Oh.
And this is Pitt. What is it on your list?
What just happened?
Number 2?
No, it's my number 12.
Oh, okay. So. Pitt. I honestly think this would be higher on my list, but we just haven't played it in a really long time. So this game has lasted as long as it has for a reason. It was made in 1903, and it continues to go strong. You take a minute to teach everyone how to play it, and yet it's really fun. You're trying to hurry and trade with people so you can collect a set of 9 cards that are the same, and as soon as you do, you rush over and ring the bell. And people are trading by telling you how many number of cards they want to trade. They can't tell you what commodity they have on the card. So everyone's just shouting numbers back and forth and grabbing stuff, and it's every time we've played it, it's been a huge hit, and we love it. We have a rowdy game group, of course, too, but family loves it too. I guess we have a rowdy family, but so yeah, it's always gone over really well. This is a really fun game.
Yeah, you mentioned in your intro to your first video that game experiences are kind of drive your list, and for this game, very much so on my part, is that there's not much to the game. It's just a simple little card trading game. But the experiences is what pushes it so high up on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of our favorite memories from this one was we were playing rowdy. If you've watched our channel, you've probably heard this story. We played a really rowdy game of it. In fact, his best friend was just screaming to scream because it was getting so crazy. He's just, ah! And our littlest Nessa was a baby at a time, and she thought we were yelling at each other and mad, and not that we were playing. She started crying, so we had to quit playing when she was around.
Yeah.
And it's been harder to put the game back out since then, because now she's fine with it, obviously, and she knows we're playing, but when she was a baby, it freaked her out some, so that was pretty funny. Everybody was laughing about it. But this game is great, so that's why it's so high up on my list, and that's my 78 pit. So, and the bell still rings by itself. All right, my number 77 is not an old game. It's a new game for us. We acquired it pretty recently after BGG Con, actually, and that is Oni Tama. This is, incidentally, on the Dice Tower Essentials line, and for good reason. Besides the fact that it's highly portable within is it's just a well-organized little game. It's got that great. You're gonna set that up. Look at this. Simple little mat. You've got 10 pieces. You have 4 pawns and the king. There's your others. And that's the game. This very thin deck of cards is where you select your moves. And you're only going to use 5 cards in the game. Each player gets 2, and then there's 1 that will rotate in and out depending on how you play. So if I play the crane move, which tells you can only do a certain number of moves, I'll play that. And then the card will pass, and so on and so forth. Well, you just did something strange.
Your turn.
But,
we're not playing? I'm sorry.
But no, it's really that easy to teach and to play. And there's only 5 moves to the game. And, of course, each game is going to be different because of the different cards you pick. But what's interesting, you have to remember that the moves that you just made are going to get passed in 2 turns to your opponent. So you have to keep track of what's going on because, he's going to be able to do the same thing against you soon. And it's just... This is a great game if you want to get a chess player into board gaming. This would be a great gateway game for that. And I think this is another one of those, it's family weight. You could play this with family, friends, gamers, non-gamers. I think pretty much anybody could enjoy this game that enjoys chess. And that's Oni Tama. So check that one out. And I love the fact that it's such a simple, portable little game. And there's so much game to it. So...
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I'm not a big fan of abstracts, but I really like this one. This is a good one. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty telling unto itself because, do you have any abstracts on your top 100?
Patchwork.
Okay. That basically is an abstract. The theme is not really there. That's true. I'll give you that.
I think that's the only one I have in my top 100.
That's interesting. Okay.
A couple just missed the list. The Duke and I think that's about it.
Yeah. So
I'm not a big abstract fan. This may have made my list. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because we got this after you made your list. Yep. So it's another one. I bet it would have. We really enjoy it. So that's my number 77, and that's Oni Tama. And then my number 76 is another game that I would consider family weight, and that is New York 1901. And this game, again, kind of like Patchwork, you've got funky shaped pieces and you're trying to fit them on the board in your town in between streets on these little sections for buildings. And there's 2 roads that will give you more points, so everyone's kind of fighting for that area because that land's a little bit more valuable. But there's a lot of strategy involved. But at the same time, it's not very complicated. I guess you could almost say it's like a tricked up Monopoly in a way because you're trying to occupy the most spaces, but you're actually physically doing the area control yourself with the buildings and Tetrising them into the spaces on the board. And I really like how simple it is to play and teach. It's easy to teach, but there's enough strategy in it that it's a little more of a meaty game to that. And so
Yeah, it's kind of it's a gateway game, I would say,
Mhm.
and it's just what's good about it is it's a good way to teach a lot of different mechanisms. It has, like she said, area control and card play and
Yeah.
bonuses and hidden. If you play the more slightly
Oh,
more
that's
advanced
true, yeah, the
game,
hidden-
you got hidden
That's true.
bonuses and all kinds of
yeah,
stuff
the
like
hidden
that.
goals. I forgot about that.
So
yeah.
it teaches a lot of different things in a really lightweight game.
Yeah, which is neat because that's not usually a lighter game can only teach you one mechanism at a time or something, but this one has quite a few and it does it really beautifully, and it's a pretty game. It's very colorful. So
Yeah, I was perusing my list, and it looks like this one landed at the wrong time. We got it shortly after I made my list last year, and then my taste became heavier by the time we got to this list. So
it
it kind of
was too
landed.
light.
It landed in no man's land and then hit either list. So.
That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, we enjoy playing that. That's my 76.
Yep.
New York 1901. So now we are on to my 75, and this one is one of my sci-fis that I love.
Oh, I can.
And-
I found it. I was looking all over for it. It is. It's my 73. So
Oh wow,
similar spot.
interesting.
Yep. Okay.
Mission.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry. Addendum. This is my 73. I was looking for it.
Anyway.
I thought it was. Okay, go ahead.
That's hilarious. Mission Red Planet is my next on the list.
What?
Yes. And I love playing this game. In fact, it might go a little bit higher on my list the more we play it, just because we haven't played it very much lately. But I love the fact that you have Mars, and it's it's just a really cute game. It's got the different regions, and what you're doing is it's area control, but you have to have your ships fly your little people to the planet to do the area control. And what happens down there is probably the most interesting part of the game for me, because I'm not a huge area control fan, but I like the first part of the game immensely. You've got like 8 or 9 cards that you're keeping track of, and each one has a different ability, and you can sabotage ships, send them to different destinations, kill off some opponents' little astronauts, all sorts of crazy things going on before your ship can even take off sometimes. And so everyone's vying to get on these ships, and there's only a certain number of spaces available, so you're fighting for that, and you're trying to get your ship up, and then once you do, you're placing things, and there's different bonuses based off of where you are and what area you've controlled, and so there's certain hidden cards that you can tuck under that region that at the end of the game they're revealed, and it might say if you are the second place winner you actually win, or things like that. So the game is crazy, and it's really fun to play, and it's fairly easy to teach too. I mean, I would not use this as a gateway game by any stretch because there's just too much going on with it, but I think once you have some people that have gamed a little bit, this would be a fantastic game for that. It's really funny. It's a little bit of some take that going on with the area control. Okay, there's a lot. But compared to Survive or something, this is a light
It's
game.
got a lot of take that. But yeah, it's kind of like Citadel. It's a board game, right? Because you have all these roll cards that you're selecting from that affect how the astronauts do, and
it's
as
fun.
you use them, you can't use them again until you play a certain card that gives you all your cards back. So it's a really, I really enjoy it. I enjoy it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found this one, unlike the last one. This one is my number 37.
Wow, much higher on your list.
Yeah, I thought this one would be higher with the sci-fi thing.
Man, there's just so many. Well, we'll get there. But yeah, this one is really fun, and I really like the fact that the artwork's really neat, and it's very colorful, and the components are hysterical. I love the little tiny astronaut dudes and stuff. It's a fun game. So if you like space themes and you like Take That, check out Mission Red Planet. It's good.
Yep, that's a good one.
So there we go with that.
I like it more than you do.
Apparently. But that's my number 75, and my number 74 will probably surprise Hunter because he's gonna be like, "What?"
Man.
But I enjoy Blood Bowl Team Manager. Yeah, see, I knew he'd be shocked. This to me is like Smash Up, but with the Blood Bowl world on it. And so what you have is you've got your games, and you send fighters and your players, same thing in this game, to the different areas. And it's just like Smash Up, where you kind of have the bases, except here they're the football game. And so they're duking it out, and you can add star players and things like that, and beat up the other opponents. And I really enjoy this game for that. It's really fun. We always have a lot of, I think part of it is the smack talk and stuff that go down when we play this. And this is one of the few games that I really enjoyed. The more the merrier, because the more players we have, the more chaotic this game gets when we play. So I enjoyed this one quite a bit, of course, and that is my number 74, Blood Bowl Team Manager.
I think my perception of this game is skewed by how much I love
Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl.
I can see that.
It's like a lesser version of that game, and I mean, it's great. Like I said, it's a great card play. It's a lot like Smash Up. It's really a lot like Smash Up. It's a good one. I mean, it was on my list last year, but it's dropped off since then.
Yeah, because it's much lighter than what you tend to like now.
And
you
it leaves me wanting to play Blood Bowl when I play this game, right?
Yeah.
It gives you like a little taste of Blood Bowl, but it's.
And I hadn't played actual Blood Bowl until just within this last month or two, just recently. So to me, this was my only taste of Blood Bowl, besides maybe watching him play a couple computer games of it or something.
Right.
So this is a blast for me because I love the card play and I like Smash Up, and this is Smash Up with Blood Bowl. So that's why I like that one.
It's a good one.
It is, of course it is. I picked it. And then we are on to my 73, which I believe is higher up on your list.
Okay.
Try not to cry. My Village. He did cry. Look at him.
Oh
Ask
my
now.
gosh.
This one is a worker placement game where your workers age and die. Now, how unusual is that? Fairly unusual, although it seems like there's been a few more of those recently. But this one has a little, your player mat has like a little Grim Reaper dude. It's just hilarious, and you have to keep track of a lot of different things. There's a lot of different resources you can do, and it's almost like a Feld game. There's a lot of different ways that you can collect points and go for points in this game. There's a lot of different things, and with this one, I don't think you can entirely neglect all of them. I think you need to pay attention to what's going on with the other players, because if someone could start to run away with some of it, I think, if you leave someone alone. So you want to keep an eye on that. And so it's really fun because you're trying to build up your little engine and build up things so that you can do stuff and accomplish goals. And this one also is it's a roll of the dice, so that determines what you get and what your plays are. So you will try to get cards that have certain numbers on them, so when you roll those numbers, you get to do those actions. So it's an interesting game. And then what were these called? I can't think of the story. They have the little story pages, and you can collect those, and that's something that's kind of an interesting balance in the game. You can ignore those, or because it takes several moves to collect them and store them somewhere where they can't get destroyed. But if you wait until the right moment and collect a whole mess of them, that can be the game winner for you too.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat. So
it's just a nice card dice rolling. Like you said, try to build up combos with different numbers and things like that. I really like it. I mean, it like she said, there's many different ways you can go about doing it. You do a lot of there's like six. I think there's 6 different places in your village, and you can concentrate on a couple or kind of do a little bit of everything. Or I think it's a pretty well balanced.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting. I really enjoy that. I like the different health bonuses kind of stack on each other, like how you do the churches. If you keep adding on to those, you get more and more stuff. And
right.
I really like that. It's neat.
Yep.
So,
that mention is my number 32.
See, he does like that one a lot.
32.
32.
Yep.
Pretty good. All right. We are now to my 72.
72. Whoa.
And my 72 is
oh my.
A monster of a game.
Caught it out of the corner of my eye.
And that's Ticket to Ride. This is like one of the, what did you call it earlier? You called it the modern classic. This is one of those games that I think everybody at some point should play. It's just awesome game. We, for Christmas, got this beautiful 10th anniversary edition, which I absolutely adore. The regular base game is really cute too. It's got little plastic trains that are the colors for the players. But in this beast, oh my goodness, if you want to splurge and you love Ticket to Ride, you need to see this. You've got the game score pieces, little solid wood chunks. The artwork on the cards, it's somehow more colorful than the original game, and the artwork's beautiful. I don't know how they They did it. It's great. And then the trains. The best part is the trains for this. They're so cute. Each one is a different one. So he's got some little cabooses in his. And like this one for the red box, it's a little circus car with little giraffes sticking out. I'm sure you can't see them because they're tiny. They're absolutely adorable. And they each have their own solid little tin. And it's just a beautiful game. The map is ridiculously huge. You're going to show them, aren't you? This is so crazy. It's not a little board. The board is just ridiculous. But it's...
got it backwards here.
Yeah.
There we go. Ready?
It's so much fun. Look at that. Off the screen, people. This is crazy. Picture disappears. And so the board's a bit bigger than the original, too. This is not a travel game. But if you really love it and you play it a lot, you should splurge and get this because it's a wonderful game to play. And I think that pieces are going to last.
The base game is...
The base game's fantastic. I mean, you can't go wrong. And the price point is much lower than the 10th anniversary one. But yeah, if you love that game and you play it a lot, you should go check that out and go look at it. So that is my 72. And my last one for today is... I don't think this will make you cry anymore because you like heavier games. But I have for my 71 Quarterfacts. And all of the... Quarriers, I should say Quarriers. And Quarterfacts and... Cormageddon and all the variations therein. But all the cues. But this one, gosh, when did you first get Quarriers? You've had that for a while.
A long time ago.
And we got these fairly recently, the last couple of years, and it's been really fun. I really enjoy the how they kicked it up a little notch. You got quests and things like that, and different things to mix it up that you can do. And I really like the bag building, dice rolling, all the different abilities that the cards have, and each game is going to be different based off of your combos and what actions you pick, what cards you even have for your pool is going to change every game. It's just an absolutely blast of a game, especially if you like dice. And it's full, yes. And I know, remember they're so full that it feels like it's not, the lid's not right. I'm just checking to make sure nothing fell apart. But yeah, this is a really fun, set of games. And that's Quarriers. The original Dice Masters was based off of this.
Yeah, it's basically the precursor to Dice Masters.
Yes, which I think you like it a little more than Dice Masters typically, right?
I used to like Dice Masters the best, but now I like Quarriers the best, and Quarriers is my number 38.
Wow, okay. You stayed pretty faithful with that one. That's pretty high on your list.
Not when it was like 3 last year.
Oh, that's true. Wow. But you can tell it's a solidly good game because we both really like that.
Yeah, I just
love
the fact that every time you play, you pull out different cards, and it's a completely different game.
Yeah. And you can get, if we were just to say, oh, you're stuck with a certain number of board games, what would you pick? I'd pick something like that because every game's completely different. You can play that over and over and have a blast with it. So.
Yep.
So that is my list of 80 to 71. We're a chunk of the way through. Dun, dun, dun. We're almost a third of the way through now, right? Look at that. Amazing. So stick with us, and we'll be launching the next 10 soon.